You know, we always hear about how secure Bitcoin is, right? Its security is legendary. But what if that greatest strength is also a ticking time bomb? Today, we're going to dive into a potential vulnerability for the world's largest cryptocurrency, one that's driven by a totally new kind of computer.
All right, let's just jump right in with a question that gets to the heart of it all. What if there was a supercomputer so powerful it could crack open the vaults and steal nearly a third of all the Bitcoin in existence? I know, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but believe me, this is a scenario that experts are taking very, very seriously. And the number we're talking about here is a staggering 6.51 million Bitcoin. That's the amount a major crypto industry leader has warned is potentially at risk. We're talking about hundreds of billions, maybe even trillions of dollars at stake.
And look, this isn't just some random person on the internet saying this. Nope. This warning came straight from David Duong, the head of investment research at Coinbase, one of the biggest names in the entire industry. So when he says something like this, it gives the whole threat a ton of credibility right away.
Okay, so the big question is, how could an attacker even think about pulling off a heist this big? Well, it all comes down to this really revolutionary, kind of mind-bending technology, quantum computing.
So, to put it simply, quantum computers, they're not just faster versions of the laptop you're using right now. It's a whole different ballgame. Think of it like this. A normal computer trying to crack a code is like trying every single key on a massive keychain one by one. A quantum computer? It's like it can try all the keys at the exact same time. It's just wild. They use these crazy principles from quantum mechanics to solve problems, especially breaking encryption, at speeds our computers can't even dream of.
But even with a computer that powerful, you still need to find a crack in the armor, right? You need a weak spot. So what is Bitcoin's potential weak point? Well, you might be surprised. It's probably not what you're thinking.
Turns out, the biggest vulnerability isn't some deep, fundamental flaw in Bitcoin's code itself. No, a whopping 70% of the risk actually comes from something that users do. It's called address reuse.
Okay, so here's how it works. Every time you send or get Bitcoin, you use a wallet address. The safest thing to do is use a brand new one every single time. But if you reuse the same address again and again, well, over time, you could accidentally expose your public key. Now, for a regular computer, that's not really a big deal. But for a quantum computer, it could potentially use that public key to figure out your private key. It's basically like leaving the key to your vault right under the doormat. I know this all sounds pretty alarming, but the million-dollar question, or I guess trillion-dollar question, is when could this really happen? And this is where the experts just do not agree. So you've got a few different camps here. On one side, you have researchers like Pierre-Luc Delière-Demers who have this really aggressive timeline, saying maybe just 5 years. Then there are folks like Jameson Lopp who think we have more like 5 to 10 years to get ready. And then you've got pioneers like Adam Back who think this whole thing is still decades away, like 20 to 40 years. I mean, that is a massive, massive disagreement.
But then there's another way to look at this. What if this threat is actually a good thing? Michael Saylor, a huge Bitcoin advocate, argues just that. He says it's not a death sentence, it's more like evolutionary pressure. He's convinced this threat will just force the Bitcoin network to adapt, to upgrade, and in the end become even stronger than it is today.
And this really puts the challenge into perspective. The power of these machines is measured in something called qubits. Right now, our very best quantum computers have like 100 or so qubits. But to actually break a Bitcoin key, a study back in 2022 estimated you'd need a machine with around 13 million qubits. So, yeah, we are not there yet. We are not even close.
Now, seeing a gap that huge might make you breathe a sigh of relief. But here's the thing. Nobody is just sitting around waiting. Not at all. There's an active, ongoing race to build the defense before the offense is even ready to play.
And the response is really happening on 3 main fronts. First, you've got developers who are proposing brand new quantum-resistant upgrades. Second, you have major financial institutions openly acknowledging this risk. And third, governments are actually setting deadlines to protect their own critical systems.
And we're seeing real-world examples of this. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, they actually listed quantum risk in their Bitcoin ETF filing. And the U.S. government standards agency, NIST, has already set a hard deadline, 2035, for federal systems to get quantum resistant. So yeah, this is being taken very seriously at the highest levels.
And the good news for Bitcoin itself is that the community is not just sitting on its hands waiting for a disaster. Nope. There's already a formal proposal in the works. It's being drafted and tested right now to upgrade the entire network with new quantum-resistant tech. So the race is definitely on.
But this is a race with incredibly high stakes. And that's because a security breach in the world of Bitcoin, it just isn't like a security breach anywhere else. The consequences are completely different. And what's really scary is they're permanent.
You know, you might hear people say losing your Bitcoin private key is like someone stealing your bank PIN. And I get it. It kind of seems similar on the surface, but honestly, that comparison is just wrong. It's actually dangerously misleading, and it totally misses the whole point of what makes Bitcoin, well, Bitcoin.
Think about it. If your bank account gets hacked, you call the bank. Transactions can often be reversed. The bank can help you get your money back. They can reset your password. But with a compromised Bitcoin wallet, none of that exists. The transactions are irreversible. There's no central help desk to call. And once an attacker has your key, they have it forever. It's permanent.
And that right there is the core of it. Bitcoin was designed to be permissionless. That freedom is its greatest strength, but it's also its greatest risk. Once your funds are moved by someone who shouldn't have them, there is nobody, literally nobody, who can step in and get them back for you. There is just no undo button.
So this is really what it all boils down to. You have this incredible tension. On one side, you've got this threat that feels really far away, maybe even decades out. But if it ever actually happens, it would be absolutely catastrophic. And on the other side, you've got this ongoing, proactive race by some of the smartest people on the planet to build a shield before that sword is even forged.
Which, of course, leaves us with the ultimate question. The technology that powers Bitcoin is always evolving. It's always getting better. But so is the technology that could one day break it. So which side is moving faster? That, right there, is the multi-trillion-dollar question we're all going to be watching for years to come.